Welcome along to Titanbet as we take a look at all the latest Premier League action as Arsenal prepare to host Chelsea. First up this weekend then is Southampton against Spurs, the clash for the Europa League places between these two entertaining sides who have done well over the season. I think Spurs are coming back into form just at the right time. Southampton, though, don't often get beaten at home. I'm going for a draw.
Yeah, I fancy it to be a draw as well. Southampton will have plenty of motivation with the European spots on the line and Maurizio Pochettino coming back to St Mary's. But Spurs are a good side as well. Southampton's games this season, lots of them have featured under 2.5 goals. I'll go with under 2.5 goals as well as the bet.
So moving on, it's Burnley against Leicester. It is win or bust for the Clarets. You reckon this one? Leicester suddenly flying high. They've given themselves a great chance to get away from the wrong end of the table, but they need to keep it going at Burnley. Burnley will be fighting for their lives. I still think there's a few twists and turns in the relegation fight as yet. I'm going to go for a draw.
I fancy it to be a draw as well, which would suit Leicester, wouldn't it? I think, as you say, it's a must-win game for Burnley, but they don't score enough goals. They haven't scored in their last 4 matches. Leicester have got a pretty poor record away from home. All points towards a score draw, an exciting score draw.
Crystal Palace take on Hull. Massive game for Hull. They're in desperation of some points. They've got a really tough run in. This is probably the easiest game they have left on paper. It won't be easy though, because Palace have been great under Alan Pardew. He will be looking for a response for their poor performance against West Brom, and Palace will be going for all the points, but Hull dare not lose, so I'm going to go for a draw.
I fancy Palace to win this one and deepen the gloom for Hull. Hull have got a terrible away record, just 12 points picked up on the road away from the KC Stadium this season, and I think Alan Pardew's men will respond to that defeat to West Brom. I can see it being 2-3-0 to Palace on Saturday.
Well, Newcastle take on Swansea at St James's Park at 3 o'clock. Both these teams appear to be on the beach. Swansea definitely could go away and start their summer break now. It wouldn't make any difference. They're not going to qualify for Europe and they're not going to be dragged into the relegation places. Newcastle just have a little look over their shoulder now and again. They could still be dragged into it, but I'm going for a lacklustre game. I think an away win, 1-0 to the Swans.
Yeah, I think Newcastle, it's a must-win game for them in some ways because of the fact they are looking over their shoulder, but Swansea do not make life easy for anybody they come up against, really. And they've got a good record against Newcastle. They've won the last 5 meetings with them. I can see them making it 6 on the bounce as well. I fancy a 2-0 away win for the Swans. Another
London derby in West London at 3 o'clock when QPR take on West Ham. West Ham, never quite know what you're going to get for them there. Since the turn of the year, they've more or less been on the beach. There's all sorts of talk about Sam Allardyce and his future at the club, whether he will or whether he won't be there next summer. As for QPR, well, they've got a chance of escaping the drop. They had a great win at West Brom recently. They need to back that up with another 3 points at home against West Ham. It's probably their best hope of 3 points in their final few games. So on that basis, I'm going for an R's victory. I fancy both teams to score in this one, certainly, and QPR to win it as well. You couldn't pick a better opponent if you need 3 points. West Ham was so poor against Man City last week. They've not won away from home this calendar year. It's got a home win written all over it. Charlie Austin to bag 2, I reckon. Well, Stoke take on Sunderland. Sunderland, also another side in desperate need of some points, but Stoke's not the place to go when you're in great need of points. Mark Hughes' men, he has them, bullies them along, doesn't he? Keeps them going. They could be forgiven for being on the beach as well. It just depends. I think first half is going to be goalless, and I think Stoke are going to come through in the second after a half-time rollicking from Hughes. I'm going to go for Stoke after the second half. Well, that's certainly what happened last week against Southampton. Stoke coming back to win that game after being behind at the break. But Sunderland dare not lose this game, I think. Stoke are a little bit on the beach now, and I think Sunderland will come away with a 1-0 win under 2.5 goals as well. I don't think it's going to be a thriller, this one. West Brom take on Liverpool. Big game for the Reds. Not so big for the Baggies. Their win last week at Palace probably has just done enough to keep them out of the bottom 3 for this season. They've been going really well of late until that Palace game. That came as something of a shock. Liverpool seem to have problems off the field as well as on. not everything in the garden is rosy. I'm going for a Baggies 2-1 home win.
I fancy it to be draw half-time and for the Baggies to win it in the end, to come through in this one. More often than not, these sides go in level at the break, so that would be the way to go for me. Be interesting to see what response, if any, we get from Liverpool. They've got a great away record in the league, but I just think West Brom will make life difficult for them and take all 3 points.
Finally on Saturday, Manchester City take on Aston Villa at the Etihad Stadium. In recent years, City have slammed Villa 4-5 and even 6-0 in their home games. I don't think much will change this weekend. Villa are a better side than they were. They've got their place at Wembley. They may have all their eyes on that. They could still be dragged into the relegation spots. City, for all their worries about not going to win the title, they're still going to win this one. I'm going for a 4-0 home win.
Yeah, I fancy City to win 2-0 as well. They've won their last 4 matches at home 2-0. They've got a great record at the Etihad Stadium. And as for Villa, I wonder if it'll be a case of after the Lord Mayor's show, after that victory at Wembley last week. So certainly a City win, and by a couple at least, yeah.
Moving on to Sunday, and 1:30 sees Everton take on Manchester United at Goodison Park. Often a really entertaining, high-octane clash, this one, between these two Northwest giants. Everton are in their best form of the season, a bit late, nothing to play for. Manchester United still fancy the runners-up slot in the Premier League. I'm going for a high-scoring draw. Yeah,
I'm going to go exactly the same way as you in this one. Everton, great at home in 2015. They've not lost on their own patch so far this year. Manchester United, we're a little bit unlucky at Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see what response we get from them. I think it'll be a ding-dong battle at Goodison.
Ding-dong-do at Goodison Park. Moving on, Arsenal take on Chelsea. The biggest game of the weekend. Big test for Arsene Wenger and his men. If they want a challenge for the title next season, they're going to have to learn to beat the bigger sides. His record against Chelsea and against Jose Mourinho in particular is particularly poor. This weekend, though, I think the tide is going to turn. Chelsea are home and hosed. It doesn't matter what happens in this game. They're still going to win the title. They may just take their foot off the gas slightly, and I think the Gunners will just sneak in and get it by the odd goal.
Arsenal do have a great home record, so there is cause for belief that they can finally beat Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. 12 out of 13 they've won at home. They've scored in 100% of their home games in the league this season, so both teams to score looks a great bet. And Didier Drogba always scores against Arsenal. If he plays and Diego Costa isn't available, I think Drogba to score is the way to go.
Well, there you go. That's your lot for this weekend. We'll be back next weekend with a look at all the Premier League action. And don't forget your opportunity to win our Ultimate Fan competition, where you could win tickets to any of the 3 major finals over the summer in Warsaw, Berlin or London. Just go to www.titanbet.co.uk/UF.